These days, it's not uncommon to see Korean films making big waves on the global stage. The movie Broken Nocturnal has been pre-sold to 158 countries, garnering worldwide attention, while the film Pagwa, The Old Woman with the Knife, was invited to the 75th Berlin International Film Festival, once again proving the strength of Korean cinema. Behind the scenes to such global success for Korean films are some unsung heroes, the translators. They are the breath that connects K-content with the rest of the world. Translation isn't just about converting words from one language to another, of course. It's about painting a faithful picture of the culture and emotions involved too. Hi, this is your Culture Crunch DJ, Soo Jung. On this week's Workie Talkie, we've invited an extraordinary guest who plays a vital role in connecting Korean films with audiences worldwide. I'll introduce him right after this song, also about connections. 우리 사이 은하수를 만들어, Milky Way Between Us by 오존.
속에 비친 널 마주 앉아 파도 소리 들려오니 영화 속의 장면 같아 흔들리는 파도 소리에 설레는 내 맘도 너에게 닿을까 진심 한 방울 꺼내요 너에게 가져다 줄까 어둠 내린 바다에 등대가 되어 비출게 다가오는 바람 앞에 단 하나의 빛이 되어줄게 끝없이 펼쳐지는 어두운 바다 위에 너와 내 사이에 은하수를 만들어 바람 별 바다로 어깨 한 켠 내어주고 너의 밤이 되어줄게 흔들리는 파도 소리에 혹시나 내 맘이 너에게 닿을까 진심 가득한 단어에 마음 담아 전해줄까 어둠 내린 바다에 등대가 되어 비출게 다가오는 비바람 앞에 단 하나의 빛이 되어줄게 끝없이 펼쳐지는 어두운 바다 위에 너와 내 사이에 은하수를 만들어 바람 별 바다로 너와 나 사이에 별 이름 하나 붙이고 서로 닮은 별 하나 찾아 너에게 보내 온통 너와 날 닮은 별 바다 아래 파란 별 바다로
Discover the world of K-jobs in Workie Talkie. Each month, we pick one field and invite the top experts from that field to learn everything there is to know. The theme for January is K-expat, 대한 외국인. And it's our last Workie Talkie guest of January, but we made it a very, very special one indeed. He comes originally all the way from the US and is now working in Korea as a film translator. Please welcome Darcy Paquet. Hi, Darcy.
Hi.
Welcome
really
to
nice
the
to meet you.
show. So nice to meet you. Would you like to say hello to our Culture Crunch family, first of all?
Yes, hello to everybody. I'm Darcy Paquet. I've been living in Korea for 27 years.
Wow.
And, I'm really happy to be on the show.
It's so lovely to have you. First of all, because I don't have to translate for you today. That's your area of expertise. But wow, you've been in Korea for 27 years. It's that kind of place, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, originally I planned to stay for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
My long-term plan was to go to Eastern Europe. I was interested in languages.
Right.
And, wanted to learn lots of different languages.
Uh-huh.
And, I just sort of got stuck in Korea.
It seems to happen. There's been a pattern in our Workie Talkie guests this month for sure. We'll touch on your background a little bit later. But let's talk about Bong Joon-ho. Director Bong Joon-ho, who you have worked with. He's about to make his comeback with Mickey 17, of course. Darcy translated Bong Joon-ho's most iconic work, I think we can say, 기생충, Parasite. Tell us about that experience.
No, it was really exciting. I think everybody knew, even before the film came out, that it was going to be a really big production. There was a lot of excitement behind it. And as a translator, one of the best things is you get to see the film very early.
Right.
So, the film premiered at the Cannes Film Festival in May, but I did the translation in January and February.
Okay, so about four months in advance. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I was really amazed by the film, but couldn't talk about it. I had to just kind of keep it very
so
quiet.
itchy.
But yeah, it was a really fun experience. It's always working with him. He's a lot of people talk about his attention to detail and how he visualizes the entire film within his head before it even is made. And so it is quite different working with him. Before I even started on the translation, I received a 4-page email from him with all of his ideas and comments and requests. And so he had already thought through the translation in quite detail.
Wow, so he's literally overseeing every single part of the production, not just the filmmaking part. That's very unexpected. Is that quite common for a director to do?
Not to the level of Bong Joon-ho. Bong Joon-ho is, I think, in many ways, he's different from other directors. But basically, our process was, I went through and I did a rough draft initially, and then there were some emails back and forth. But we did end up sitting down and going through the film line by line for a couple of days. And, this was at CJ, and, it was a big kind of meeting with the producer and the director and, 4 CJ employees and a tech person and myself. So, we had the time to carefully consider every line and to talk about it. And if I had questions, I could just ask him right there. So, there's some directors who do that as well, but it's not that common.
Okay, but it was a bit of a special case with Bong Joon-ho and with Parasite. So you kind of knew, you had a preview into it, and you had an inkling about how big this film would be.
Well, yes and no. Because, when I saw the film, I assumed that it would be invited to the Cannes Film Festival because Bong Joon-ho is, at this point, such a big name, and there was such excitement over this film. And so as I was translating, and I thought, this movie does have a chance to become the first Korean film ever to win the top prize at Cannes. And that was kind of my dream as I was working on the film. And, I never even thought about the Oscars. I mean, the idea of a Korean film taking home 4 Oscars, including Best Picture, just,
it was
I don't think
unthinkable
anybody
at the time.
Imagined it could have been possible.
Okay, so taking it back to the beginning then, how and when did you start learning Korean? You've been here 27 years. Was it something you studied like at school beforehand?
I mean, I was interested in languages, so I majored in Russian as an undergraduate, and then I was in grad school. Basically, I just made a lot of Korean friends in grad school.
Okay.
And I didn't really become part of the Korean community, but I knew a lot of the Koreans at my school, which was Indiana University. And then when I finished my master's and I was looking, I wanted to live abroad. I wanted some experience of living in Asia, actually. So, because of all my friends, I was curious about Korean. So I applied to a number of schools to come over. And so in the weeks, I was accepted and I got a job in Seoul. And so in the weeks before coming, I just started learning Hangul on a very basic level. And some key vocabulary. And it was more or less after I arrived that I kind of started studying it.
Just through immersion.
Yeah.
Ah, okay. Let's talk more about your movies as well. So, you've come to a point, and your Korean has got to a point now where you've translated over 200 Korean films to English, which is quite the resume. We know you've done Kisaeng-jung, Parasite. Can you tell us about a couple of other films that you've done?
Well, it's been very exciting to work with director Park Chan-wook. I've always been a big fan of his, and so I was able to work on The Handmaiden and Decision to Leave with him.
Oh, wow, okay.
There was an unusual case with the movie Broker. Again, I've been a fan of this director for a long time. It's the Japanese director, Koreeda Hirokazu. And, this was a different, this was less kind of a hands-on. I worked closely in revising the film, but it was mostly through kind of the production company. And there were people who spoke both Japanese and Korean and English who could kind of triangulate the discussion. And so that was exciting as well. And, I work on a wide range of different films, sometimes just really low-budget independent films by directors who are making their first film and are not particularly famous. Other times I get to work on really big-budget productions. So it is exciting to be able to kind of be in all these different aspects of the film industry.
Okay. That's an interesting point you make, because with the English translation for Broker, you had to really take into account sort of Korean language and culture, the Japanese culture, and the English culture as well.
Yeah, it was really interesting because we did the screenplay translation first, but the screenplay had been written in Japanese, so it was translated into Korean, and then I translated from Korean into English. And again, there were people kind of checking to make sure that my English...
That nothing was missed.
Corresponded with the original Japanese as well as the Korean. So.
Okay, so you have different sort of working methods, or different productions have different working methods, and it's very much a case-by-case thing. Wow. Okay, so, and I wanted to talk about, I guess, some of your most iconic lines or memorable lines to you. Are there any lines that you're particularly proud of? You think, oh, I nailed that translation.
I don't know. To be honest, there are lines that I personally like, but that are often quite subtle and that don't work well. These kind of, I don't know. I can give an example, and it's not something that I think the end result is really smooth. But in the movie Decision to Leave, there's a line where the main character says "완전, 완전, 안전 하거든요," and it's a play on the sound. And literally it means nuclear power is completely safe, but I needed to translate it in a way that would have some kind of wordplay.
Right.
And
those are the hardest, aren't they?
Yeah, and Park Chan-wook in particular is a director who does a lot of wordplay and wants all of that reflected in the translation, even if it comes out a little bit awkward. He would rather have it be a bit awkward than to kind of give up and to lose out on that wordplay. But how do you rhyme nuclear? So, I don't think it's very smooth, but we went with clearly cleaner nuclear, and so it has similar sounds in all three words. And so, if you're watching the film, it doesn't sound as smooth as it does in Korean, but it.
But I think people watching sort of take that into account.
Yeah, luckily you can hear the Korean.
Yes,
and so you can sort of figure out what's going on in that line.
So is it very much the director's choice in which direction to go to, whether they want it to be smooth or they want that kind of wordplay to come across?
Yeah, there's some directors who really want things to sound natural, and so they're striving, to create this kind of natural back and forth between the different characters, and it's okay if you kind of change the meaning somewhat, as long as it's not too far away. And then there are other directors who want to be very, very specific.
Right.
So, in every different scene, different things are important. Sometimes it's the actual literal things that the characters are saying.
Right.
Sometimes there's this subtext, and so the actual words are less important than kind of the emotions underneath the words.
Of
and
course.
so if you can communicate the emotions in a way that is slightly different from the literal translation, then sometimes that's more effective.
Wow. So you have to really take it scene by scene, not even just project by project.
It's true. And so when you have the opportunity to ask the director, it's a big help.
Wow. Okay, so the clearly nuclear one was a memorable one in terms of you're quite proud of how that turned out.
I think it was the best option that I could have come up with in a difficult
but it was also
situation.
quite a difficult one for you, I would say. One that stands out for me was, and I noticed it at the time, and who knew I'd be meeting the person who actually did it a few years later. But in 기생충, in Parasite, where there's the university certificate forgery.
Right.
And it was supposed to be Seoul, well, in Korean, it was Seoul National University, right? It's Seoul대학교. And then I believe it was translated to Oxford University.
Yes.
Was that a choice on your part?
Well, it was something that we discussed with the director. And actually, at the very beginning, when I received the 4 pages of notes from the director, he pointed out that line and he said he didn't want to translate it kind of directly because he felt that it's humor and it's really important to understand instantaneously that he's talking about a really top university. And if you're not familiar with Korea, then you may not know that Seoul National University is the top university.
So it was part of the story. The translation was part of the storytelling process as well.
Yeah,
in painting that scene.
And trying to preserve the humor. So I think that if a line has humor, then you might approach it a little bit differently. But we did have a conversation where we sat down and said, so like, which university? Should we do Harvard? Should we do Oxford?
So why was it Oxford?
I don't know. Harvard seemed like an obvious choice. I don't know. I think Oxford kind of stands out a bit more in the memory.
I would say so, because I still remember the translation a few years later.
Yeah, so yeah, I think that it made sense.
So cases like that where I know the director's decision was involved too, but where you're able to get those cultural nuances across, I think that's really led to, the term used to describe your work quite often is 초월 번역. Transcendent or next level translation, shall we say? How does that feel?
It's a bit of an overstatement. I don't know. I think that subtitle translation is a very particular kind of translation, and there are many different aspects to it. And one of them is the cultural aspect. And the fact that I've lived in Korea for so long helps me tremendously because. Again, there's kind of subtext in the things that people say that go beyond the actual words. And if you can understand the situations and kind of the feelings behind the words, then that helps a lot with the translation. There's also just the fact that, translating, it's sort of like translating a performance rather than translating a text.
Right.
Because, different actors can say the exact same line, but they'll emphasize it in different ways and they might say it with a different tone of voice. And because you're not translating word for word, often when you translate, you have choices about how you want to say this in English. And, your choice ultimately may come down to the performance rather than some deep analysis of the words themselves. And that's something that I learned in the process. I think when I first started, I assumed that I was just kind of translating a text, but the more I worked, the more I realized that you really have to look at the actor's face and listen to their voice and try to get...
Because that's something I've always wondered, especially when there's like a joke or a scene where something unexpected happens. And sometimes the translation spoils it like 3 seconds in advance. Do you take into account those sorts of limitations and things?
Yeah, that's the other thing is that there's the whole aspect of timing. And, the information will be communicated to the viewer at a certain point in time. And if the information comes too soon or too late, then you lose, you lose that energy.
Right.
And so I do think a lot about how to time the subtitles so that they correspond with what's happening on the screen.
Wow, so many things to take into account. Okay, so we've talked a lot about Bong Joon-ho. You've also worked with Park Chan-wook. How was that experience?
I mean,
was it very different?
Again, I'm a fan of both their works, and so Park Chan-wook is also very specific and looks very closely at my translations and always sometimes has suggestions for ways to translate something differently. And I've come to really respect his screenwriting abilities as well. I think that a lot of his works are based on novels, and he's adapted them in different ways. And
right.
So both on the sentence level and kind of more on the structure level of the story, I think he's a tremendously gifted screenwriter and then also a really talented director. So I'm always really excited to work with him, and so it's a privilege.
Nice. And then you mentioned indie movies as well. Would you say the work you have to do, or are there any big other considerations that you have to make for an indie film versus a big commercial film, like a Bong Joon-ho or Park Chan-wook film?
Yeah, I mean, the process is a bit different. And in a way, it's a bit more streamlined because often with a big budget production, there'll be kind of several different stages in the post-production process. And we tend to start the translation fairly early because, you have to send films to festivals and
right.
there are deadlines that people have to meet. And so often when I'm working on a film, the sound mixing hasn't been done and, the music might not be in there in the background.
Oh, that's so interesting.
But even, it's possible to change things later and to either you can re-record some of the dialogue, particularly if, the actor's mouth is not shown on the screen. You can record completely new dialogue. Right. And so a lot of directors do decide to do that later in the process. So often there are several different stages, and then there's a press kit that has to be translated. And then, so, from the very start of the translation up until the point that it's released in theaters, it can sometimes take a year, sometimes even longer. Right. I mean, independent films tend to be short and sweet. And that's one reason I enjoy working on them. And, but also, I think their approach to language is a little bit different. Because, I mean, often with big commercial films, there's a lot of kind of information that has to be communicated to the viewers. And there is kind of an emphasis on explaining things, I think, to make sure that everybody understands and that they're able to follow the story quite easily. I think independent directors tend to be a little bit more, I guess, indirect in communicating what their characters are feeling. And so I enjoy that. Like, it's a different kind of dialogue, and sometimes quite, sometimes it might feel quite poetic, and other times it might feel very kind of raw and realistic. And it's more of a challenge in that sense.
Okay. And you're also the founder and organizer of the 들꽃 영화상, the Wildflower Film Awards. Tell us a bit about those awards.
So basically, it's an annual award ceremony. You can compare it perhaps to the British Independent Film Awards, or in the US they have the Independent Spirit Awards. This is on a smaller scale, but there are so many really interesting independent films that are made and released each year in theaters. But the releases tend to be fairly small scale, and they don't get the same level of attention as the big budget commercial films. And I mean, initially it just started because, as someone who watches a lot of films and, sometimes writes about them, and at the end of the year I tend to put together my, top 10 lists. Back in 2009, that was a year with a lot of great independent films, and at the end of the year I just remember thinking it was a shame that a lot of these films wouldn't get recognized by big award ceremonies like the Daejeongsang, the Grand Bell Awards, or Chongnyeongsang, the Blue Dragon Awards. So initially I wrote this column and I said it would be nice if somebody made an award ceremony
for indie films.
And I wasn't thinking of doing it myself, but everybody around me said, you do it. It's your idea, you do it. And so, I got a lot of help with this. There was an experienced critic who joined me. His name is Oh Dong-jin, and we organized this together from the start, and we were able to make it on a fairly big scale, and it's just really exciting to work on it because I think independent filmmakers really appreciate the fact that we, watch their films closely and we take them really seriously, and we have this judging process, and then when people do receive awards, they are very excited. So,
wow.
Yeah.
And it's now in its 11th year, is that right? 12th year?
We're coming up on year number 12. So,
wow.
Yeah.
So it's come a long way. But that's amazing that you've been able to spotlight these sort of hidden gems within the film industry. All right, so we've been discussing Darcy Paquet's very impressive resume of film translation. If you guys have any questions for Darcy as well, please feel free to leave us some comments in the YouTube stream. Next, Darcy, I'd love to dive deeper into your journey coming to and settling in Korea. But first, let's see how you can listen to our show, Culture Crunch. Catch Culture Crunch on ARIRANG RADIO at 11 a.m. KST every day. You can listen to our show via the ARIRANG Radio application, which you can download from your app store, or watch the program on ARIRANG TV. If you're in the Jeju area, tune in to 88.7 in Jeju City, 88.1 in Seogwipo City, or 101.9 in the Daejeong area. If you're in Busan, you can listen from BEFM 90.5, and in the Kijang, Noksan, Cheongwan areas, tune in to 103.3. You can also join us on our YouTube live stream. The channel is ARIRANG Radio K-pop. And if you miss any of these, don't worry. You can catch the radio rerun at 2 a.m. KST every day. Don't forget, there are exclusive episodes on Saturday and Sunday at 11 a.m. KST, only on ARIRANG Radio. Catch Culture Crunch on ARIRANG Radio at 11 a.m. KST every day. Welcome back to Culture Crunch on ARIRANG Radio and ARIRANG TV. We are exploring careers with K-expats, 대한 외국인, on our January Workie Talkie segments. And our guest today, our final guest of this month, is Darcy Paquet, who is very active in the film translation scene. So, Darcy, you said you came to Korea 27 years ago. So as a foreigner in Korea and as a translator at that, you must have had some fun, interesting experiences with the Korean language. Are there any that stand out in your memory?
Yeah, I mean, it was a really tough language to learn.
Right.
I'd majored in Russian, and Russian's a tough language, and I thought I kind of came in a little bit overconfident, I think. Thinking that,
it happens.
If I studied Russian, then Korea will not be too hard, but it proved to be much more difficult than I thought. And there's a very long time in the beginning where I was embarrassing myself at very, regular intervals, and I'd mix up sensational with sensational and things like that, and just silly mistakes. So I think that's one of the things about learning a language is that it takes a lot of hard work, it takes a lot of time, but you also need a willingness to kind of look silly and feel awkward over many years. It takes quite a long time before you feel really comfortable in the language.
But it's just something you have to get through.
Yeah.
Wow, okay. And what drew you into to translation, first of all?
I mean, I think when I was young, I was someone who read a lot of books and enjoyed reading. I mean, for film, it was actually I always loved watching movies, but I only really got into film in a serious way a bit later when I got the chance to watch a lot of films from outside the U.S. and to I took in grad school I took a course on kind of introductory film, and that helped me to understand cinema in a somewhat different way. But as a film fan who both living in Korea and then just in general, your enjoyment of the film is always dependent on the subtitles.
Right.
And someone who likes writing and who likes languages and who likes film, the film translation kind of combines all those things together. And because I know that when a film is poorly translated, that it does kind of ruin the experience.
Right.
I was really anxious to give it a try. And actually when I was I guess to some extent I was just kind of naturally interested in this because, back as a university student, I did translate a couple plays from Russian into English.
Oh, okay.
Which, shares some things in common with film. And later, basically, I was working as a journalist. I got a chance to meet people who worked at film companies. And when they gave me the opportunity to work on subtitles, I jumped on it and just worked really, really hard to try to do as best as I could.
Wow. So you saw something that wasn't quite up to your standards and you thought, I can do this better. Or I want to do this better.
There's this kind of famous essay within the academic kind of translation field, I guess.
Yeah.
But it opens with the line, everybody has watched a film and come out wanting to kill the translator. As a translator, I understand that.
I've seen some funny ones over the years, I have to say.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've done a lot of different things then. So I know you were a teacher at Korea University, was it? In Korea, when you first came as well. You were a journalist, you're a film critic. I have a question from Benny as well. Question for Darcy. What was your main struggle during your first years as a film critic?
Yeah, initially when I started, my first film criticism was when it was on my own personal website. And so I created this website that was introducing Korean cinema in English. And actually, in some ways, that's what gave me the opportunities to pursue all these other things, like journalism. And this was my starting point. But one of my struggles was just to try to find an appropriate perspective to write on these films, because I was writing as someone who is not Korean myself,
right?
But has some experience in Korea. And I think I could kind of see the perspective that people outside of Korea would be watching these films. And so in other circumstances, I might have just kind of focused only on the film itself and tried to analyze it or whatever, or to write about my personal reaction to the film. But when I was writing about Korean cinema, I did kind of have to take the perspective of someone who would be seeing this for the first time.
Right.
And try to make it legible. And so there was kind of an element of, not really translation, but helping people from other cultures to understand these films. And so that was the approach that I took when I first started writing about films.
Right.
But it took some practice to really kind of make that feel natural.
To, I guess, strike that balance between insider and outsider.
Yeah.
I guess that would be very difficult to do. Okay. And I heard that once you got into translating, you started out with your wife as a team. Was it something she was interested in too?
No.
No? You dragged her into it?
I dragged her into it. I was asked to work on, because initially I'd started, doing revisions of subtitles, like existing translations. And, at that point I spoke a certain amount of Korean. I could hold a conversation, but not well enough to translate from scratch on my own. And so I knew that I'd have to kind of work with somebody else if I wanted to do translations from beginning to the end. And when the first opportunity came, I kind of grabbed it. The first person. My wife was kind enough to work with me for the first couple films that we did. And then our son was born and she got really busy. And so I have another friend who was a filmmaker, actually, a Korean filmmaker who speaks English really well. And so he and I worked together for a number of years on several different films. And I think it was really good training for me, because I could, we'd sit down in front of the TV and discuss each line and kind of all the different possible ways to translate it. Normally translation is just done by yourself.
Right.
And, it's more convenient that way, but also when you have the opportunity to work closely with another person, then I think you learn a lot and it helps improve your skills. So the early part of my translation career was done in this way as a co-translator.
Right.
And it's only it's been about 10 years since I've been doing it on my own. But
and I guess in the beginning, at least, they helped you out with the cultural aspects of things as well, and that subtext that you were talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, but now you're at a level where you can do that all yourself.
Well, I always still love to get feedback, and so when I do a translation, sometimes it's the director, or sometimes it's the film company, but it's good to have you need a good system, I think.
Right.
If you have a system where it's only the translator working on it and then it goes directly to the screen, then I think you don't get as good a translation as if you have other people kind of checking the work and making suggestions.
So in terms of getting used to or absorbing the Korean culture, was it just your time here and having your Korean wife and Korean friends from school? Was it just a process of osmosis, would you say?
Yeah, I mean, it really is, because you'll watch a movie and then there might be a scene where for Chuseok people are gathering and there are different tensions between the family, and because I'm seeing this as someone who has lived in Korea, and both personally and through my friends and the other people who I know, and I've heard lots of stories, and just hanging out with people and hearing them talk, you get so much other kind of perspective on what people's lives are like and how they're different from people in other countries. So that's been very helpful.
Okay. And you're not just a translator and a film critic. You're also, you have actor on your resume as well. You've appeared in a couple of movies. Pagyol, Anarchist from Colony, I believe is the English title. Was this something you were always interested in? Was it an opportunity that arose?
Well, this is an opportunity that came up that I just because of the fact that I've been living in Korea and working in the film industry, I've gotten to know a lot of film directors. And sometimes a director needs a foreigner in their film.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not possible to pull somebody in from Hollywood, and so there are certainly lots of more professional actors who work in Korea and who appear in many roles, but occasionally if I'm close to a director personally, they might ask me to work on it. And so I have known director Lee Jun-ik for a while, and so he did ask me to do this. And, it's not a very big role. It's a brief performance, but it was really fun to be able to go on the set and to kind of experience a bit of filmmaking firsthand. And it is quite intimidating because I'm not trained as an actor. I don't consider myself an actor in any professional way, but it was really hard to turn down just because I wanted that experience, and so I did the best that I could. And,
it must have been so fun to jump into a different part of the production process that you're not used to at all. Yeah,
and I've been writing about films for a long time, and I found that this kind of changed my perspective as well.
Are you a bit more lenient when you're criticizing films now?
It's hard to be as critical when you've kind of seen just how difficult it is to make a film, and I mean all the different things that can go wrong in the course of making a production that you have to deal with as you go through. I think I lost a bit of my knife's edge after doing this.
Well, it's great to have so many different perspectives. I'm sure that helps in your film critic role as well. Any more plans for any appearances?
I don't know.
Coming up anytime soon?
I'm not really focusing on this. I don't have a manager. I'm not part of any company or anything. But yeah, I mean, I have a friend who's an independent filmmaker who suggested that perhaps there might be something in the future. So
okay.
I don't know, we'll see.
Well, we'll look forward to seeing you on the big screen, hopefully at some point as well. And I guess with the recent boom in K content, I think with K movies, Parasite was such a big part of the story. And the role of translators is more important than ever, right? And I think that ties into your teacher role at the Busan Asian Film School. Tell us a bit about the school and what role you play there.
Yeah, I really enjoyed teaching at this school. I mean, the city of Busan is trying to establish itself as kind of a hub of Asian cinema. And of course, they have the Busan International Film Festival there, and it's the biggest film event in Asia every year. But I think another thing that has real potential is for Busan to be kind of a hub of film education. And, particularly for people in other parts of Asia. Mm-hmm. And, this school, it's a small school that was set up by the Busan Film Commission, and it focuses on producing because, producers are often overlooked and, they don't get the same level of fame as directors. But if you look at how the Korean film industry developed, from the 80s and 90s when it was quite a weak industry in many ways to this tremendously strong industry of today, producers played such a big role in that. And so the school was set up with the idea that, producers in other Asian countries who have some experience but haven't really had the chance to be fully trained in producing can come to Busan, and they spend 8 months at the school. And we teach many different things in the school, but each of them also have a project that they want to make into a film.
Right.
And so they develop it through the course of the year, and then at the end of the program, at the Busan Film Festival, they pitch their program to an audience of investors and other film people. So, yeah, it's been quite successful, and so I've been really happy to take part in that school.
And are you teaching translation or on the production side of things?
Actually, in this school, I'm not teaching translation.
Okay.
I am teaching translation back in Seoul at the Literature Translation Institute of Korea. In Busan, I teach a bit about cinema in general. So I teach like film genres and Asian film history, and then a few more specific things that I'm not really. I don't know, like film law. I'm not trained as a lawyer, but we talk about contracts and copyright and other things that producers need in order to.
So it's really all parts of the. I guess it's more behind the scenes processes that a lot of the people in the general public may not really think about. Amazing.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. And have you had any students that have gone on to do big things?
Yeah,
great things?
I mean, it's been really exciting because, just at this most recent Busan International Film Festival, we had, several people with films in the festival who had, been at our school a few years earlier, and so they're able to come back as alumni and, screen films at the festival. They've won awards at different film festivals, like the Karlovy Vary Film Festival, and a lot of them are winning kind of grants and, different kinds of production funding to make films in the future. So every year, the accomplishments of our alumni just keeps getting bigger and bigger.
That must be very rewarding indeed.
It is, yeah.
Wow. Okay, so we've been chatting with Darcy Paquet, a film translator, a film critic, a teacher as well. Let's take a quick song break before we continue our conversation. This one is a popular song from the Japanese colonial era, which was also featured in the movie 파결, Anarchist from Colony, which Darcy made an appearance in. So here is 이태리의 정원, Garden of Italy, reinterpreted by 이 정표 featuring 하림.
제 꿈이 뭔지 아세요? 전 이곳을 벗어나서 더 멋진 곳으로 가고 싶어요. 제가 꿈꾸는 곳은요, 바로 이태리 정원이에요.
was Lee Jong-pyo featuring Harim with 이태리의 정원, Garden of Italy. You are listening to and watching Culture Crunch on ARIRANG Radio and TV. This is our Workie Talkie segment, and I'm joined by our guest, Darcy Paquet, who is a film translator and actor and critic. He has many, many different hats. So we're about a month into 2025 now. We're just coming up to the Halal holidays. First of all, do you have any holiday plans? And what have you got going on for the rest of the year?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a fairly quiet holiday for me, although I do have a lot of work to catch up on. So,
it always seems to happen that way, doesn't it?
yeah, I mean, the thing about translation is that you can do it anywhere at any time, and there are good things to that and bad things to that. So, yeah, I think I will be translating over the holiday. Yeah, and then I'll be flying home to the US next month. So, it's kind of seasonal for me because many filmmakers want to try submitting their films to the Cannes Film Festival.
Right.
Cannes has over the years taken movies by big directors like Park Chan-wook and Bong Joon-ho, but also they have a midnight section where they screen commercial films and other sections where they'll take independent films. So even though I'm not teaching in January, February, it is kind of a busy season because a lot of the translation requests come in.
I see. Well, that kind of works out nicely.
Yeah.
Busy all year round, which is sometimes a good thing. But there aren't any projects that you can spoil for us, are there?
Let's see. I'm usually not supposed to talk about future projects because sometimes companies are a bit sensitive about saying too much in advance. I will say that the film The Old Woman with the Knife that will be screening at the Berlin Film Festival.
Pagua?
Yeah, just in a couple of weeks. I did work on that together with several other translators.
Okay.
So I set up a film company recently, and this was one of our projects that we worked on together. And
Okay. So we have your work to look forward to at a big film festival, one of the biggest film festivals in the very near future. All right, so we have one final question for you, Darcy. This is one we ask all our Workie Talkie guests, and as sort of a bridge between Korea and the rest of the world, I'm very interested in what your answer is going to be. The question is, if you could have any superpower, what would it be?
I don't know. I think that I think I would like to understand other people. Kind of, just in part of our daily lives, film is a way to kind of connect with characters and, perhaps experiences that we wouldn't have in our life. And that's, to me, one of the biggest appeals of cinema, that it gives you these new perspectives and allows you to live for like 2 hours within another person's perspective. And of course, there are limits to that because, everything is kind of put together by a filmmaker, and it's you can never fully be in another person's perspective. But, that's something that I do wish that I could fully experience, like
to be able to walk in another person's shoes.
Yeah, to spend some time in another person's life and then to come back to my own, so that I could fully understand what they're experiencing and what they're going through. I think that would be the most exciting thing for me.
Wow, I think that's one of the most unexpected answers we've ever had to that question on this show. But very, very befitting of your career and of your life, Darcy. It's been fascinating talking with you today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for inviting me.
It's been amazing. Good luck with all your work and your projects for this year. Sadly, that's all the time we have on Workie Talkie and Culture Crunch today, but I am going to leave you with one last song. This one is for Darcy, who gives us more than just words. He paints us a whole picture of language and culture. It's More Than Words by Handel, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow for another episode of Culture Crunch. Bye!